Hello and welcome to another edition of Sports Talk Philadelphia here on LaSalle TV. I am your host, Josh Abrams, and today on STP we're going to talk about the Flyers and their struggles as of late. And then we're going to go on and talk about the Sixers and the roller coaster week that they have been having recently. So don't go anywhere.
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
You'll never have the sacred stone.
Oh, this you crazy mother.
And welcome back from the introduction. As usual, I have a great panel on desk with me today to talk some Philly sports. To my left is Kevin Cook, to his left, Tegan Lamont, and to his left, Emily Desmond. All right, guys, let's get right into it here. The Flyers have really been struggling recently, and they just haven't been able to win games in regulation or in overtime, whatever the case may be. Talk about how you guys are feeling about the black and orange right now, guys.
Well, they're definitely struggling, and it's something that they need to start to solve because they're struggling in a number of facets of the game, whether it's when they have equal possession, or what is it? When they both have 5 players on the ice, I can't think of the words. Full strength. Thank you. Yeah. So when it's full strength, they're struggling to keep pucks out the net, and as well as when they're on the penalty kill, they're 29th in the NHL on the penalty kill this year. These are things that good teams, playoff teams, if you want to win in the playoffs, you have to succeed when you're at full strength, and as well as when you're down. You need to keep the puck out of your zone.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that this team is nearly playing as well as they were 2 weeks ago. You're still laughing, aren't you?
Yeah.
But this team really needs to step up, like you were saying. Like, the offense isn't making up for the defense. The defense isn't making up for the lack of offense. Sometime something has to give. Whether it's the goalie finally steps up and makes a save every once in a while, whatever it is, someone's got to make plays to make up for what everyone else is struggling.
Yeah, and it's a much different conversation than we were having last week when they were on their win streak. Just after 4 straight losses, we went from first place down to 3rd in the division. So it's not that great, but on their power play, they're just 1 for 19 in the past 6 games, and you're not going to go anywhere.
Yeah, and I think, go ahead.
Sorry, yeah, it's funny how last week, like Emily was saying, we're all talking, they're probably going to make the playoffs. After 4 losses, the world's falling, it's collapsing, it's over. But yeah, I mean, that's how quick it can happen in the NHL. And I mean, they went from first place, I believe it was on last Thursday, they were in first. And now this Thursday, here they are, third in the Metropolitan, and only a couple of games out of, or only a couple of points in front of the 7th seed. So. Yeah. It's scary that it's that tight in this conference here.
Yeah, it's definitely it's tough when you get to this point in the season fighting for a playoff spot. As you can see, we've taken a huge dip in the standings there. Whoever finishes in first place in the Metropolitan Division will essentially get that 2nd seed. So we really need to stay afloat atop the Metropolitan. And I kind of like what you alluded to, Emily, about the Flyers struggling so much on the power play. 1 of 19, as you said. I think that's really been the key factor in why we haven't been able to win games. But another big part of it is also our goaltending situation, and it's never been steady. It's never been consistent the past couple of years. So what do you guys think is going to happen with our goaltending situation down the road?
Well, I mean, just in the past week, Mrazek gave up 20 goals. In the past week, it was only 4 games, so that's like horrible average for him. As far as what they need to do moving forward, I mean, there's nothing you can do. No. It's either him or Lyon, and Lyon's actually proved that he could play a little bit, so maybe you throw him back out there because he had a hot hand in the beginning. But other than that, if he doesn't work, you just got to sit down and wait for Neuwirth or Elliott to come back in.
The only thing I don't like about that is that you need to have a consistent starting goalie towards the end of the season. You need someone who's going to get hot, who's going to keep you in games. Go ahead.
That's how you make a playoff run in the NHL, is a goalie
with a hot hand.
You need a hot goalie, and they had that with Neuwirth. Neuwirth looked like he was going to step up for the team, and then went down. And I mean, honestly, Mrazek looks bad all the time. He's given up goals And his helmet's not painted. He looks silly. The whole time he's on the ice, he just does not look good. He gives up awful rebounds. It's just not a good look for him right now.
Yeah, we just need consistency, and like we still have 2 or so more weeks until we get our other goaltenders back. So I think we just have to hold on until they can get back.
Yeah, and that's going to be a lot easier said than done, not only from the goaltending perspective, but also on the offensive end. We have been missing a huge, huge piece of our offense in Wayne Simmons. With the way we played in Tampa Bay, I kind of thought that it really wasn't as big of a loss. The fact that we were able to hang in there with arguably the best team in the league was a good sign without Wayne Simmons. But talk about his importance and significance to the team.
Hold on, before we get to that, I just want to go, sorry, but the Tampa Bay Lightning loss was a huge loss because of the fact that we were up by 2. I mean, this was a game we were going back and forth. I think that game emotionally drained them.
Yep.
And the fact that they lost that, now, like, they are a great team. If they had gotten that win, I think that would have propelled them into winning some of the other games that they had this week. But after that loss, then they had it was a back-to-back, and they went right back at it with Florida, and that was a tough loss too, because that's a team that is below them in the standings. They probably should have won that game. So had they beaten Tampa Bay, I think that we might be talking a completely different, talking about them completely different today.
That's a loss that's not just on the rankings, on the standings. It's a mental loss too. It's a loss that if they pull that game out, maybe Mrazek gets a little confidence in him for making some stops. Maybe the defense
because he knows
has
the team in front of him.
Right. Maybe they get a little bit more confident in everyone else's ability to make plays that I was talking about earlier, to come up with a big goal or a big stop at the end of a game. And
this is another thing, same thing we saw in that Tampa Bay Lightning game, was the fact that we are struggling to score in shootouts. Whether it's Voracek or Giroux.
Or the young guys. I mean, it really...
Konechny came in like we were thinking that he was going to be a very good penalty shootout player for us, and he hasn't done that for us. I think he's like 0 for 5 or 0 for 6 since he came up here. So these are the things that like we need to finish them up. It's great getting the 1 point, but getting that second point in this would be... Like, I mean, that's making the difference in the league.
It's going to make all the difference going down the stretch. Emily, what do you think? What do you think has been the biggest struggle for the Flyers? Not just on the stat sheet, but just like physically and emotionally.
I think just staying healthy is like our biggest issue, and like keeping that consistent mentality. And like we're coming down to that last stretch where we're going to be playing a bunch of good teams, and I just don't think it's all there yet. I think maybe a season or two, like we'll have something to work with, but like right now, it's not there.
And it's really hard to believe something like that because, especially in these last couple of weeks, disregarding the losing streak that we're in right now, the team looked really good. The team looked like it can hang in there with a lot of good teams. I really think that win in New York, when we went into the Garden and put up 7 goals on the Rangers, that's what really started, as you said, kind of like what you said, Kevin, about wins propelling us mentally, putting us over that hump. It just really... Winning games is obviously just big in so many different ways, but looking at these upcoming games coming up, we have arguably the toughest schedule, at least in the Eastern Conference. We've got a very tough Eastern Conference matchup with Boston tonight. How are you guys feeling, given all that we've talked about so far? How are you guys feeling about this upcoming schedule?
Not good. Yeah. I mean, all those teams that you saw up there, I mean, Boston's the one tonight, and they've been just absolutely killing it. I mean, we talked about how good the Flyers were playing on that stretch. The only team that was playing better than them was Boston, and you saw Vegas is up there. So that's another team that's pretty good, and some of these, I just don't have confidence that this team's going to be able to bounce back.
Yeah, and then back before Kevin changed the topic a little bit, Simmons came back against the Penguins the other night, and I thought maybe Simmons coming back gives a little spark.
And hopefully that would help with the power play. Like
It provides something that was missing when we were playing these teams that weren't as good as the Penguins, come back, get crushed by the Penguins.
Yeah.
It's that they need something to go their way. They need a break. A break in a game against Boston or a break in a game against Vegas. They need something to go their way.
And talking about breaks, I mean, the last possession of the second period when the Penguins got the goal, I believe that was the goal when it deflected off Madden into the net. Like, that's a break for the Penguins.
Right.
And if that doesn't go in, We're talking a completely different game. It's 3-2 going into the third period. We're still in that game. When you go down by 2, when you lose that one goal edge,
It takes everybody
in the
out.
last second.
Back
Yeah.
in that mental thing.
And that might have been the reason. What that was the turning point in the game. Because after that, we were flat-footed for the rest of the game.
Yeah. I agree with everything.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting to see how these next couple of weeks play out. We got to win games, guys. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Real quick before we go to commercial break, it's a question that I would bring up in Fast Five, but just a quick yes or no, elaborate a little bit. Playoff hopes, playoff chances, they looked good 2 weeks ago. How about now?
I'm not sure. I think if we do make it in, it's going to be 7th or 8th seed.
I'd agree with that. I think you need someone to step up now. Someone needs to make a play tonight or really soon, because it's starting that downhill spiral that you don't come back from very often in the NHL.
I agree with Tegan. I think if they're going to make a playoff push, it starts tonight against Boston. They win tonight, they can make it. If they don't win tonight, I don't even know if they're going to make the playoffs.
Yeah, it's really a shame that we've gotten to the point where we have to talk about them potentially not making the playoffs when, literally a week ago they were the number 2 seed in the Eastern Conference, and it's just really disappointing to see this whole thing play out. But we're going to go to a commercial break real quick, and then when we come back, we're going to talk some Sixers. Hopefully some more positive vibes here on Sports Talk Philadelphia. Don't go anywhere.
Oh, yeah.
Hi, this is Eddie Dunn, host of LaSalle's favorite TV game show, Q&A. I'm here today to tell you to watch LaSalle TV. Though if you're seeing this commercial, that means you're already watching LaSalle TV. So I guess keep it up. You're doing an awesome job. I hope you like what you're seeing.
And welcome back from the commercial break. Emily had to go, but we have a new panelist on desk today, and that is Dave Roberts. Dave, smile, hot wave, do whatever you need to do. Let's get right into Sixers talk, guys. It's been a pretty good week since we last had our show. We are hanging in there really well in this Eastern Conference playoff race, and kind of just like what we were talking about with the Flyers and the NHL standings. It is really important that the Sixers hold on to this spot down the stretch. We would love, as Joel Embiid alluded to not too long ago, to get a home court advantage in the Eastern Conference playoffs. And really, it hasn't been consistent. We're not on a big winning streak right now. But the way we've been playing recently, it seems like we may get that home court advantage.
Yeah, I mean, they've been playing pretty well lately, and this past week it was crucial. I think that if they had picked up that win in Milwaukee, it was a very tough game for them. I mean, we talked about it. They blew 2 20-point leads in that game, something that cannot happen. No. And especially since Milwaukee is behind them in the standings, that game would have put them, I think, would have jumped them all the way up to the 4th seed.
Yeah.
And since we lost that game, we fell down the standings a little bit. But after that, we got a big win against Charlotte, and that put us right back up there. And now Miami jumped over, so we got some games in hand, and I think it's Miami coming up tonight. So it'll be interesting. We got some good teams coming up and a lot of traveling to do. But with that being said, I think that this team, if they win tonight and they can string something together, the home playoff series looks like it's possible again.
I do like the fact that they were able to bounce back from that Milwaukee loss. That's a thing that a lot of young teams do not do very well. Once they face adversity and lose to a team that's below them in the standings, that's trying to make a push for the playoffs, a lot of the times you'll see a little bit of a lapse in mental or physical skill. But they were able to bounce back, and it's a big win. Obviously, the Milwaukee win, or the Milwaukee loss, doesn't bode well but bouncing back and beating Charlotte is a pretty big play for them.
Yeah, I think always on the positive side with the Sixers with losing, because I think losing that game, I think that really hurt like really hard, because we are a young team, and we should be able to win games. Like if you're up that much, we should be able to win games like that. But we are young, so we are going to make mistakes where we do somehow lose a game like that. But I think that's probably the worst thing we're ever going to see. I think for the rest of the season, I think that's never going to happen again. I think teams that if we're up by 20, we're going to stay up by 20 because we're at the mindset of we're not going to let what happened in Milwaukee happen again. So
one of the worst things about that loss to Milwaukee was it was crushing was because of the fact that the night you came off a tough road win at Cleveland Thursday night, then you came home and you came back and you held Charlotte to practically nothing down the stretch, which gave you the victory there, and then you go at Milwaukee, and the fact that you were up by 20, not even just once, you went back up by 19 in the second half, and and they just lost the lead. I think it was going into the second half, they started off on a 7-0 run, they put it back to 19, and then after that, they just crashed and burned.
Right.
It was horrible.
Those situations are where you need guys like Redick or Ilyasova.
Somebody to make a shot.
Right, someone that's been there before, someone that's played on a playoff team and knows how to win. You need guys that can make big shots at the end of a game to sway an outcome.
I agree with you, but in that game especially, it wasn't even just make shots, take one, because the fact we turned the ball over 4 possessions in a row. Embiid turned it over twice on passes, then J.J. Redick turned it over twice. This is stuff that cannot happen. We had 26 turnovers. 26. That is not, I'm not making that number up. That is a real thing. That happened. I watched it.
That's how you blow a 20-point lead.
And that is it twice, 20-point lead.
And lose by a big margin, too.
Yeah. And that was the difference in that game. The fact that Milwaukee, I think they only had 14 compared to our 26. Right. And one of the good things about that is game after that, Dave, we talked about bouncing back. They bounced back. They only had they only had 14 turnovers on Tuesday. So that shows that this team, they saw the issue and they addressed it. We'll see how that continues to go forward. If they can limit their turnovers, it'll look good for them, because that's where they struggle, is turning the ball over.
Well, we've certainly gotten some pretty good production so far from Embiid and Simmons. Yes, those turnovers, there were definitely shades of inconsistent play from those 2 superstars on our team. But someone that we're really looking forward to step up down the road, and I'll allude to it more when we get to Fast 5. But Robert Covington, he really stepped up the other day against Charlotte. As you can see, he had a really nice, efficient game with 22 points. And the thing that I've been really looking for from him is the consistent 3-point shooting. What do you guys think about him blossoming late in the season and finally coming through?
Before we even get to the fact that he put up a great offensive game, I want to talk about his defense. Bob's been killing it on defense all year long, but in that game, he held Kemba Walker, the guy who's been to 2 All-Star games now. He held him to only 5 points. Right. And at 3 of which came from the line, 2 of which came from a jumper over Embiid. Right. So none of them were on Bob. Yeah. And that he's been doing that night in and night out. The defense is just unreal. He's one of the leaders in passes deflected, which create the turnovers for us and get offensive fast breaks for us. So he's doing a great job on the defensive side. But to see him play the complete game for the first time since the beginning of the season, like he did the other night, it's a great sign. If he can shoot the way that he shot it, this team is gonna be good. Yeah, because we got shooters down the line, lined up.
Going with that. When in the NBA, there's superstars on every single team. You need one guy on the team that's going to contribute on the defensive end and try to lock someone down every night, but also be able to pitch in on offense a little bit. It's not a defensive specialist thing with Bob. Right. He's going to knock down his shots on the other end too.
I think a possible player comp for Bob right now is Andre Iguodala on the Golden State Warriors. He's their lockdown defender, and every now and then he's going to go out like he did in the finals. 3 years ago now, and he's gonna shoot the ball at a good rate too. So that's what he needs to do. Is if he's shooting a little bit more consistently, he's gonna be like an Andre Iguodala-esque player for us, which is what this team needs right now.
I'm just happy that when he signed that big contract, he started to fall off. I'm just happy to see him shooting like he's actually like getting paid for it this time. It's not like well, we've always seen that like decline when like someone gets paid and they don't really do much anymore. But like the 22 points really shows that like he wants to actually contribute to this team. Obviously, he's contributing with the defense, but like he wants to show that he wants to do something on offense as well.
Right, he's doing something. He's not. He's multi-dimensional.
Yeah.
Finally. Like,
Yeah. So another player that we want to talk about, and someone that falls into the category of the Feds, someone that we've been looking forward to for a long time. He held his time with coming over to play for us, and now he's finally here. I think he's here to stay for a while. Dario Saric, guys, he has been playing extremely well, especially down the stretch in the clutch. He's hit some very big shots. The other day against Milwaukee, he basically kept us in the game when we started to lose those leads with the 25 points, and he's been shooting the ball really well too. And as we've talked about, it seems like three-point shooting has been a real upside for us recently. Thanks to Dario.
Well, Dario has been, ever since the All-Star break, I feel like Dario has been shooting the ball really, really well. And it wasn't even just that game. The game against Charlotte on Monday night, I believe it was, or Tuesday night, whatever it was, but he put up 19 points again for us that night. And he's one of those guys where he's going to give you probably he averages, I think, right around 14. But when he starts to reach higher double digits, like higher teens, like 19, or even breaks into the 20s, that's when this team's going to be very successful. It didn't work out too well against Milwaukee because Giannis had such a great game putting up 35 against us. But he's one of those players. If he's going to play well, I think the team goes with him.
Yeah, he's not a guy that you look to be the superstar of the team, but you look for him to contribute solid numbers every night. And when he does have a standout night, you expect to win those games. It's not, he's not a guy that you want 20 from every night. You want 15, 14, 15, somewhere in that range from him. But when you get 20, go out there and win. Someone other than him needs to be making plays on nights like that.
Yeah, I mean, I like the past couple of weeks watching him since the All-Star break. I like just seeing him hustle. Like, I mean, the first beginning of the season, the first part, he wasn't really like going all out, and now I see him actually hustling, going out, trying to make plays, try to really like show what he's like capable of doing. And you can see that with I know you might forget, Kevin. A few weeks back, you talked about how he's making these plays where like he should get fouls, but he's not really getting them. You can see like he's really working to try to get that and one, but these refs, they're still not going to give it to him because he's not that type of player yet. Right. So I mean, I'm hoping at some point, at the end of the season or in the future, that like we can get to that point where he can try to make these and ones and like he'll actually convert them and like get to the strip and like people will actually watch out like when Embiid and Simmons go to the bench, like watch out for him as well.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I just want to see Dario get stronger at the basket. I want to see him finish emphatically more. I'm not asking him to, tomahawk dunk it or whatever. I just want him to finish strong. I want him to use his body well. But something like I said, that has been really working out for the Sixers is our three-point shooting, especially with the addition of Ilyasova and Bellinelli. I think having those two come off the bench really helps us. As you can see, Bellinelli's three-point shooting isn't necessarily the best, not high up there compared to Redick or Saric, but he's definitely everyone that we've added, and with the releasing of Trevor Booker has definitely been it's been just really good so far.
Yeah, I mean, this is one thing about the NBA that really confuses me. You've got one team that just cut Ersan Ilyasova and Marco Bellinelli, two guys that are legitimate contenders. Like those two guys, adding guys that knock down threes and contribute defensively, and they're guys that are real NBA players. They're good players. They're not. They shouldn't be cut in the middle of a season. I don't get it from the Atlanta standpoint, but it works out for the Sixers. It's awesome for them.
I mean, yeah, those pickups really help out with like the game I always wanted to see us as the Sixers play with, just feeding it to Embiid, and then once they start sucking it on him, just kick it out to someone to shoot the three. And it's beautiful. I don't know what else to say because it's just like that's something that I think is going to be dangerous with in the future.
It makes the offense look so much more fluent, and it makes it more fun to watch. Yeah. So definitely a positive with our three-point shooting. But we're going to move on now to our sports talk favorite segment, Fast Five. And Dave, we're going to go all the way down to you, and we're going to jump over to the Birds, the Bleeding Green Nation. We just signed Michael Bennett for essentially nothing. What's your opinion on Michael Bennett and the trade?
Well, I'm not gonna lie. Personally, I'm a big Bennett fan. I'm a Bennett fan, like the Bennett brothers. I love them as people just because like they're exciting and but football related. I mean, this is another addition to our D line that's already already dangerous. So I mean, adding him is just gonna add more fear in the quarterback's eyes. And I mean, I saw a lot of stuff on Twitter of just everyone making fun of Dak and just we're gonna have to see him twice a year. And he's gonna have to see that line a lot. So
definitely gonna be fun to see how that line turns out. Tegan, we're gonna come to you. What's your opinion on LeBron James potentially coming to Philly next year?
I'm not a huge Sixers fan since the process happened. Bringing LeBron James here will make me a Sixers fan. LeBron, your teams that you narrowed it down to today are Houston, LA, Philly, and the Cavs. There's one team in that list that's going to win soon and is not going to play Golden State until the finals, and it's the Sixers. What more could you ask for?
Yeah,
trust the process.
Yeah, I love that answer. Kevin, we're going to come to you. Who's your dark horse for the Sixers down the stretch in terms of maintaining a playoff spot?
I know that we just saw his stats up there, and I know Sarge has been playing well, but I'm not going to go there. I told you I was, but I think Bellinelli is going to be a guy that we're going to have to look forward to, and I think he's going to turn that shooting percentage around soon.
Tegan, what goalie for the Flyers are you looking to be the starter come playoff time, if we can make it?
You got to let Lyon play now, and then hopefully Neuwirth or Elliott are back and ready to go by playoff time because Mrazek's just not doing it right now.
Yeah, Tegan obviously not the biggest Mrazek fan. Dave, last but not least, alluding back to the Michael Bennett trade, we have so much talent up front on that line. Who's going to lead the team in sacks next year?
Good Lord. You said lead?
Yeah, most sacks from the Eagles.
I mean, there's going to be 3 hats on the ball regardless of what happens. But I mean, I think Brandon Graham again is going to be because I mean he's a guy that's been here for a while, and I think he's going to keep producing. So I mean, I think he's going to lead in sacks, but I think a lot of people are going to have a lot of sacks this year. So I mean, it's hard to answer that question.
Right, yeah, no, definitely. Well, it was definitely a good episode of Sports Talk Philadelphia. We gave you guys 2 episodes in one day, so we thank you guys for tuning in. And you can catch us on Twitter, on Gmail, on YouTube, and on lasalle.edu/LaSalleTV. Follow us on Facebook as well. Thank you guys for coming on and talking today. I have a great panel as usual with Kevin, Tegan, Dave, from everybody. Thank you so much, and we will see you next week.